Good Friday morning, everybody. This is today's project. We are going to be in here mulching most of this out. Not all of it, but a good bit of it. Specifically, my proposal for this job says everything 8 inches or smaller in here. So none of the vines on the trees, none of that stuff, none of the bigger trees. Most of this stuff is it's pretty small. I mean, it's 4 inches, but there is some stuff in here. Like that's a good example right there of some bigger stuff that we're gonna have to take out, like this right here. This stuff that is just a little bit too big for my rotary head. And in here, it's not that bad in here. What this was in here, this was a homeless encampment in here. All right, I mean, when I say an encampment, it was a city in here. I mean, it was bad. So it's really the edges is the worst part of this in here. The middle is not too bad. We just got to get to the edges, and that's what made this area in here pretty perfect for the homeless to kind of come in here, because nobody could really see them in here because the outsides were so grown up. But in here was pretty open for them to come in here and set up camp. So there's another good example of something that's going to have to come down. That's just a little bit too big for the rotary head. So that's what we're going to be doing. This is going to be a good 3 or 4 day project, I guess. I don't really know exactly. We'll have to see what kind of production I get with the mulcher over here. I bought the mulcher specifically to do this job, because I was either going to have to come in here with the rotary head and cut what I could, and then cut the rest of it by hand and consolidate it and mulch it down with the skid steer, and that just seemed like a pain. Or I could have, bought this thing. So I bought this thing. My original proposal was to come in here and clean up all the trash and debris in here too, but the clients end up just doing that themselves, and then so I'm just going to be left to just mulch everything that's 8 inches or smaller down. And one of the reasons I didn't buy a skid steer for this job, this is a perfect example right here, is because this is like a ditch swale in here, and this stays pretty wet and kind of low in here, and I've got to get some of this stuff in between some of these bigger trees. So there's like a lot of big mature timber in here that we're gonna have to work around, and there's like this embankment here, and I thought the mulching head on the skid steer or the mini would just do a better job of me getting in here into these tight spots and working around this big mature timber in here. If this big mature timber wasn't in here, or wasn't as much of it, and this ditch swale embankment thing wasn't here, a mulcher on a skid steer would have been my choice, and I probably would have gone with that. But considering all this other bigger stuff is going to stay and we got to kind of work in between it, this was the best choice. So this will be the first job I'm going to use this thing on, outside of those 2 pine trees I cut down yesterday at the farm. I have not used this thing, so we're going to kind of get to understand what our production rate is, how this thing works, what it can do, what it can't do. I'm really excited to use it. So we're going to learn this thing as we go, so to speak. Which, I mean, it's not too dissimilar from using the rotary head, the MTL rotary head that I have, but it is a different animal, especially with the weight. If you didn't see my other video, this thing, this with this mount here weighs right at 1,000 pounds. And on this U55, because this is a reduced tail swing machine, doesn't have the big counterweight on the back coming out, or the big tail swing on the back coming out to counterbalance some of that, it's heavy. It is a heavy boy. So I'm probably going to cut most of this stuff driving in, facing in, instead of working my way down and cutting from the side. I'll probably just pull in, cut, back up, come in, cut, and work it like that, so I'm a little more stable. And as I kind of figure this thing out and get a little more comfortable with it, I don't want to start off just cutting over the side when I really haven't used it yet and figured out how it's balanced and, compared to the machine and stuff like that. I have a little bit of an idea, but I'm going to take it slow for now. So that's what we're going to get to. The machine's warming up, should be close to being ready to go, and I'm going to set up and let's get at it. right, guys, this is the first problem I've encountered cutting so far today in about 3 hours, and I'm really happy with the production so far. I'm really happy with the head overall. So it's been awesome. But I have heard this does happen occasionally with these depth control heads. You'll get something will come around and it'll just get wedged in between the cutter and the tooth and the raker here. And I've heard this happen with the CMOS, the Fecons, any of them that have this depth control ring here. That stuff can get jammed in there. So let's see if we can't get that out really quick. I got it. All right. Well, we got another piece, looks like, here stuck. Here. There it goes. Let's check my teeth really quick. See how we're doing on those. Uh-oh. You can definitely tell they're taking some wear. Let's see. What are we looking like here? Yeah. That one looks a little rough. I hear the ones on the edges really kind of take some of the worst beating. That one's rough too, but they're still sharp. They're still cutting really good. A little chipped on the end. That one's taking a beating too, right there a little bit. But that's mulching. That's what happens. These teeth do not last forever. Be interested to see what kind of life I get out of them, but all right, back at it. Really good progress for 3 hours. Right at 3 hours, I think. Check the time. I got started right at 8:30. Yeah, well, a little less than 3 hours. And that's me messing around with the GoPros too, setting them up and stuff. So I got started right at 8:30. It's 11:15. So pretty good. I'll take it. All right, everybody, welcome along. We are in cab here with me with this mulcher. And it's about 2:30. Starting to get the hang of this thing pretty good. Got about a quarter of this job done, roughly speaking, I think. Or I think when I get done with this part right here, we'll have close to a quarter of it done. I hope you guys can hear me. I'm going to try to talk a little louder. The GoPro's a little bit in front of me. I still need to get a mic. Going to be a little bit of handwork with this job at the end of it. What I'll probably end up doing, some of the stuff I'm going to have to cut by hand, and I'll probably end up consolidating it into a pile and then bringing the skid steer over here with the rotary head with the MTL and mulching that down in a pile, probably somewhere here in the middle. couple of bricks here and there. That's probably what's dulled a few of them. Some bricks buried in this ground here and there. This little tree right here. Wax myrtle right here. Top is on top. There we go. Come on down. There we go. Kind of on some uneven ground here, so I'm rocking a little bit, but going up this hill, so the machine's not really wanting to tip forward too bad. It's just kind of rocking side to side. We are making hay of this job right now, and I'm pretty happy with the progress. Like a glove. Right. Let's take this down right here. Started mulching stuff down, I wanted to feed everything from the front, basically from this side. I was trying to feed everything, but if you actually feed from the back side, the material goes in and comes around and goes back out that way, and it doesn't throw as bad. If you go from this side, it comes and goes back out. It wants to shoot back out like that. But if you come, like the smaller stuff, if you come in from the inside part, and then it just kind of shoots out and goes down. And that's the way I'm trying to do some of the smaller stuff, and it doesn't seem to fling out as bad. Oh, wrong way. Some of this stuff at the top of this hill, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the machine up in there just because it's so tight, like up through there. So I may actually have to take the chainsaw up in there and get some of that, cut it by hand and pull it out. No big deal. Most of it in here is pretty accessible with this mini excavator, but there is going to be some where I'm just not going to be able to get this machine, and I'm going to have to cut it by hand and drag it out. But for the most part, that's not the case for most of this job. I can get to the vast majority of it with this machine, thank goodness. And the guys that came in here did a pretty good job about getting out all the trash. Oh, a big old tree there, wherever that was. back side and you'll see it shoot out the front. About this thing, when you're feeding from the front, it will suck stuff right into this thing. Oh my gosh, and come right out the other back side. It will grab something right into it and throw it back out the other side for sure. But when it throws, it only throws in one direction. If you're feeding like this, if you're coming in, if material's coming in like this, it's only going one direction. That's right back out that way. So you can, if it is going to throw, you can kind of control where it is going to go. Sharpen these teeth today, but I will. I think I'm going to come back on Sunday, work on. It's going to rain. Today's Friday. It's going to rain all day tomorrow, which will actually be good. It'll help with this dust because we haven't had rain in like 3 weeks or so, and the dust has been horrible on these mulching jobs and these cutting jobs. So I'm going to try to come back on Sunday and do some more work on Sunday. See what I can get done. Let's go up the hill here. Whoa. Up the hill. This is a steep hill. Like that little pine, I'm gonna have to come back and get that little pine right there by hand. I just can't get to it with this thing, the way it's situated right there. So there'll be a couple little things I'm gonna have to get here and there by hand. Maybe that little pine right there too. Oh, come on, don't do that. teeth on this thing. They want to grab anything that they touch. Just like that. Oh, actually, that's not a pine, that's another sweet gum. Cutting great. Okay, so we had a bit of a hold up there. A piece of that gum tree right there got jammed in the cutter. Luckily it came out pretty easily. This thing takes in a chunk of wood too big, it will get jammed. Especially when it's on the ground where it can kind of suck up other pieces and stuff. It's not as bad. It's not as bad if you're mulching from the top down, but if it's on the ground, it can suck up a bigger piece of wood along with another piece and just kind of all just get fouled up in there. Alrighty guys, there it is for today. Right at 8 hours worth of work. Really happy so far. There's a couple little tops of some trees here that I'm gonna have to pick up. And we're gonna have to, I was trying to make my way in from here, but that really just wasn't happening. So it looks like I'm gonna have to come around from the other side over there and work this kind of area here, or maybe track up into here, work these couple trees, and then come around and then work in from that side and work in through there. I mean, some of that may have to be done by hand. It's pretty tight, maybe not. But yeah, I'm really happy. I'm pretty close to being about halfway done, roughly speaking. Let's see. We'll walk down here. I'm kind of like cutting this thing in half. I kind of just went down and then went in and then worked my way back this way. We'll walk in here. Yeah, opened it up real nice. There's a couple little trees I still need to get. Missed that one. But yeah, looking really good, really open. Some of this bigger stuff, I'm probably gonna come in here at the end. We'll come in here and do some handwork, like right in here where some of this stuff is kind of caught in between here. I'll pick this bigger stuff up by hand. Some of these pieces of pine, we'll consolidate it right about here, and I'll bring the skid steer in here probably and just grind it all down. That'll take about 5-10 minutes probably. This is where I'm a little bit more concerned because this is really tight in here, as you can see. So this side's gonna be a little bit more of a challenge. Plus there's a hill here. There's a hill. And there's some bigger stuff in here to kind of have to work around, but I think I can get in there. That can all come down. Getting through there is gonna be tight. I got some gum trees here that are, looks like they've been pushed over. I'll probably have to cut those up, get them out of here, consolidate that as well. But we'll get it. This side's just going to take a little bit more time, but we'll get there. It has been windy today. We're supposed to have some bad thunderstorms and a lot of rain tomorrow. I'm actually kind of happy about it. That little corner up there I'll probably have to get by hand too, just because I kind of, just because of the overhang, and then I don't really want to bring the machine up over this hill just because of the unbalance with the head yet. I'm not quite that confident yet to do that, so I'll clean that little bit up by hand. But the only real problem I had was right there. I was grinding on this gum that was right here, and it sucked up a piece that was just a little bit too big, and it got jammed. That's it right there. It got that jammed in there. You can see the red paint on it. It got a little jammed in there, but I got it out. But that was the only real snafu I had today. Other than that, man, that thing, she rock and rolled. I may pick some of this stuff up too. We'll consolidate that stuff too. We'll go take a look at the head real quick. So let's just take a look right here. The teeth aren't too bad. I did not sharpen them today. Even where they're kind of rough right there, that's still a very sharp edge. Like that'll cut you right there. So, and then some of them look like they've barely been used. Like that one is, I mean, pristine still a very good edge on it. So I think on Sunday when I come back over here, I'll break out the little grinder that I got, the little 4-inch angle grinder, and we'll just touch some of the ones that are a little rougher. We'll touch them out, like that one. That one's a little rough. That one, I'm guessing some of these might have hit some metal or some brick buried in there somewhere. Might have touched something that wasn't wood and got them a little bit, but for the most part they look okay. This is a monster head. One other thing about this head that I forgot to mention. These teeth are the same teeth that go on Prinoth's head for a skid steer. So you don't have to carry around two different sets and type of teeth like you would with, say, like the Fecons, because I'm pretty sure the teeth for the Fecon excavator mulcher heads are different than the ones that go on the skid steers. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's right. But these are the same teeth that go on the skid steer head. So if you had two machines out here, if you had the skid steer with a Prinoth head and you had this one on the mini excavator, you only have to bring one set of teeth, one kind of teeth, and you can use them interchangeably. So that's another thing that I really like with these Prinoths. But this thing worked great today. I'm super happy with it. Very impressed with the power of the motor and everything, the recovery speed, the torque. everything about it was just very impressive so far, and couldn't be happier with it. I mean, I did all this in like 8 hours, and that was a lot in there. So I'm very happy with the rate of production with it. These chains, some stuff gets caught up in these chains a little bit. You can see some stuff gets tangled in them, but that's not a huge deal. But they definitely help deflect stuff. Get that out of there. There we go. They definitely help on the deflection, keeping stuff from flying everywhere, though this thing does throw some stuff. You'll probably see it in my video. There's some stuff getting thrown. Come on. There we go. But these chains do not hit these teeth. You can see they don't even come close. I'll get up under here. So, not even close. So you don't have to worry about these chains. If anybody's wondering, these chains don't come anywhere near the teeth. So, the other cool thing I like, these wear plates in here seem to be very easily accessible to replace. Right here, it's just some bolts here. And then these right here. And I'm guessing these are probably have a nut welded on the back side, and then you take the nut off from the front side for those. And this just comes right out. This wear plate just comes right out. There's one there, and I think there's one on the top. Yeah, there's one here on the top too. And you just got to get in there to get those bolts right there out. So, and then this part comes out. So these get replaced eventually. But other than that, she's a beast. I'm designating this thing the KRAKEN. It's my new nickname for it. So I like that. It's like a tentacle with like a big sucker mulcher thing on the end. I don't know, it makes sense to me. All right, I'm gonna break out the backpack blower. I'm gonna crack this thing open. Let's turn it off, let it cool down for a minute. I'm gonna crack it open. It is full of dust. Let's check her out. It's not too bad. So, well, there's some stuff in here. So, yeah, we'll blow her out. We'll grab the blower and get her cleaned up. Oh, there's a fuzzy. That'll get you. Get out of there. And that'll be it for today. So, hope you guys are enjoying the content. Lots more to come with this thing, so stay tuned. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. It's Friday, and I'll catch you later.